Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something sick.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
I told him last week to his face that I was not interested in having a relationship with him, and he seemed to respect it. But then he's writing me, and he was not going to contact me, at least for 2 weeks. But this morning, I've gotten emails this week, and he's a narcissist. That's what it is. I mean, I've talked to with a couple of friends, and he does everything to fulfill his own needs. And it became so clear this morning when he had left a note on my door, and it said, "I know I'm not supposed to contact you, but I can't help myself.
Okay.
And I have the best intentions."
Mm-hmm.
So, that just shows to me, and there are other things that even maybe even clearer, that he doesn't see boundaries. And from what I have read about narcissistic personalities, I'm not saying that to make him look bad, but it is not bad in the way that I look down on him, but it is an illness, right? In some ways. And it's seen from what I've talked to friends about that's where he is. But the reason it's kind of, it ties into what we are doing today, because it ties into that, me pushing away. But I think I've been pushing away with him in a healthy way. But the reason it really ties in is that my mother was a narcissist, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it really ties in.
Yes, and that is some of what we got into last time.
Exactly.
And I told you, we both talked about maybe starting this time with kind of reviewing the notes from last time, which I took.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to do that if you're still interested in that.
I am.
Okay. How about a minute of meditation first?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I'll set a timer.
It's okay.
Okay. Should I start?
Why don't you start?
Okay. I think I've got 2 main protectors and 2 exiles, and there might be some overlap. In our last conversation, there was a tranquilizer that kind of took you out of wanting to go anywhere near these parts. An anesthetist.
That part kind of gets me to dissociate, so I'm not really there. Yeah.
Right. There was the pushing others away that you said was the same part that was keeping you up at night. Then exiles. There was an infant that you were saying had a feeling like an open infected wound and had been violated. And you also mentioned a 6-year-old who was taken into her mother's bed and cold and pushing there too.
Yeah, for the sole purpose of kind of making her feel less frightened.
Right.
Which was a violation.
Yes.
Was also a violation.
Yeah.
As soon as she felt safe enough, she just turned around and went to sleep.
So, would you like to work with any of those parts, or is there something else, some other parts that are coming up for you now that need your attention more?
No, I think starting with so that infant we have already worked a little on before, or with before, right? That's not that we're going to abandon her.
I don't recall working with that part. I remember when you met her originally, you said this was the youngest part. I think you said this is the youngest part that I've met, and I'm not sure that I don't recall the work that we did with her.
We worked
directly
with her being sexually assaulted.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's the same part. At least to me, it is.
Yes.
Because that, I mean, like I said before, I can't prove anything. But that feels very strongly that's she could have been violated in other ways too. And that was kind of the violation. And I think we have talked about that was kind of the origin. And now we're tying back to the guilty one again, because that was kind of the origin of me rejecting my mother because she wasn't safe, which then cascaded later on into being guilty for everything. The 6-year-old, her violation feels, I can almost feel physically.
Okay.
And that violation is kind of okay. So I think I would like to start there, because that violation, that was not the only time that that kid, me as a kid, was violated. It just continued. It was kind of my whole
So before we make contact with that exile, are there any protectors? Are there any parts who don't want you going there now. Who have any concerns that they want to voice.
I just got in touch with a really, really strong anger.
Mm-hmm.
It was rage.
Yeah. You mean just now?
Just now, okay. when you say, are there any other parts? And I was just kind of just not just being, just inviting things in. And
yep. Okay, let's invite that rage, and maybe you can find out if is that the 6-year-old's rage, or is that more of a protective rage that comes from another part?
Yeah, it's okay. So what that rage wants to do is to kick.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to kick the violator away. It's like,
yes,
don't you dare.
Yes.
And so I don't know what that is, if that's the protector or if that is part of the exile.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it has intensity, right? If it's rage. So I would suggest that we just keep staying with that and seeing what we can learn about it. Sound right with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you feeling towards it?
I am on the side of the rage. I feel I feel, yeah, that's righteous rage.
Mm-hmm. And is that, when you say you're on the side of it, does it feel like it's blended with you? Does it feel like I am the rage and the rage is the right move? Or is it more of a seeing it and understanding it, kind of siding with it?
Okay, so no, it's not like I am the rage. Maybe I'm a tiny bit blended with it, but at least most of it is rage that's a part, it's a part in me that is saying, don't you dare get away. Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah.
I want us to, it wants to kick so hard.
Yes.
But it's not me sitting here. I don't feel angry, you know.
Yeah. And is any of that don't you dare energy pointed like at you or at other parts, or does it feel like it's pointed out externally?
It feels like it's pointed externally.
Okay.
It's pointed at, it's pointed at something that wants to come in and violate me.
Yes.
In some way or another.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So just let it know that any degree of blendedness is only going to make it harder for you to get to know it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're feeling curious about it, just let it know that.
Yeah, I am curious about it. I'm wondering, I can see why it is angry, because something is being violated.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why it's angry.
Okay, let it know that.
Yeah.
You can just ask it what it wants you to know.
I think it wants me to know that it has been stuck because it's so angry, so furious. But at the same time, it's helpless.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does make sense to me.
Yeah. All right. You can just let it know that you see that, the anger and the helplessness that it's dealing with.
Because it has this core sense that what's happening is not right. Whatever right is, it's not right.
Yeah.
It's whatever is happening, the person who is doing it has no right to do it.
Right. And does it notice you?
Yeah, it does notice me. It kind of sees me at some kind of sitting in the in some kind of audience on the side. I mean, there are not a lot of. It sees me kind of sitting on the side and looking at it. I'm not that close to it, but it does see me.
Would it feel right to get closer and kind of show it your presence more?
That's interesting. It's if I get closer, will it hit me?
Or could you handle it if it did want to kick and scream at you or closer to you? Would you be okay with that?
Maybe that's it. Yes, I wouldn't be frightened. It would be hard to just sit there and witness that, I think.
And what would be hard about that? Would it be hard? Yeah, what would be hard about that?
What would be hard about that? Because I would want to do something so it didn't have to be so angry.
Okay. So I think you can just let it know all that. Let it know that you're totally fine with the way it is, that you're not afraid to be close to it, and that it would be hard for you to have to see it continuing to be stuck like that.
Yeah. Or would I be able to take it? Let me look at that one more time.
Yeah, is there a part of you that is afraid? Thinks it might overwhelm you?
A part of me wants to dissociate from it. So that it doesn't feel so strong.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, if that's the same part we met or not, you can thank it for looking out for that.
Yeah.
You could ask it to step back, and if it doesn't want to, we can spend more time with it.
The part that wants to dissociate?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that part is a little mixed up now.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I have kind of witnessed others' anger, which I have, which I have a lot, both my sisters and my daughters, the reasons I wanted to dissociate them was because I felt guilty. I couldn't take the guilt that it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like this part is a little bit mixed up because it's my part being angry, right? It's
right. And because you're really, there now, right? Like your present day self is there now. Which it's probably really, not used to.
Yeah, and it's nothing I can be guilty for.
Mm.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, we just show it all that.
So I think it's that because that is kind of the automatic reaction, coming really close up to someone's anger.
Right.
Not to be overwhelmed, it's my fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just let it know that makes sense. Catch it up to where you are and who you are, and and that you're only trying to get to know parts.
Yeah.
That those other things aren't here to threaten you now.
Exactly. They are not. Okay, I think it can retreat. Just sit in the back.
Great. If it does need to jump back in, it can.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to the dissociating part.
Yeah. Thank you for everything you've done.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel I'm closer now. I feel I can't see anything clearly, but it's a lot of red. And it's like I'm on the left. I am kind of on the left, and all the anger is right. And it's a lot of red, different reds.
Okay. Yeah, just let it know you really want to see it. You want to understand it.
Yeah, it's so angry because, and these are all things we have touched on in other sessions, and it's so these parts kind of, it's so angry that it's not just allowed to be.
Okay, yeah.
That it's not just allowed to have its space and be safe in there. And that people are just going to take away and
it's had these other people and these other parts that bring on this guilt or the dissociation. They say that it's not okay for it to do what it sees as necessary, which is to defend your system from these violations.
Yeah.
And it hasn't had anyone on its side. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just also angry that it just has to defend itself all the time. It just wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
Not all alone, but it wants to just be in peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wants to be able to go to bed and then know that it's going to be a good, and have dreams and then wake up the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
It just wants to, when it wake up, to think, oh, this is probably going to be a good day, or I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go downstairs, I'm going to have breakfast, and I'm going to go to school, and blah, blah, blah. And that feels safe.
Yeah. So you can let it know that you appreciate it. You appreciate
Yes, I do.
what it wants and what it's been fighting for, and the fact that it exists at all.
Yeah. If it hadn't been there, I would have been a zombie, or if I even would have been, if I had, I either would have been dead, or I would have been a zombie, or I would be a homeless, or I would have been a criminal, or I would have been an insane asylum. And it's something like that.
Right, because if you didn't have its voice telling you that this isn't right, then you would have internalized, like, I guess this is right, and that would have felt like a zombie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also angry because it's not able to express anything it wants or get a positive response on it.
Yeah.
Because her wants don't matter. Because there's only one person's wants that matter. And if anything is not in line with that, then it's bad, or maybe evil, or it has to be pushed down or ignored.
How do you feel about inviting it to express that to you? All those things that it has been unable or unallowed to express?
It sounds all very true. And I'm just nodding. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would that be nice to just do that for a little while longer, to just invite it to express all of that to you?
Yeah. It is. It wants to be seen. It wants to be heard. It wants to say, I want. It wants to get a reasonable reaction. It doesn't want to be violated by other people's fears and whatever else being violated by. It doesn't want to be guilty for everything. It just. It's like, don't mess with me.
Yeah. And how is it between you two, letting it express that? How's it for you, and how's it for the part?
I'm just nodding.
Yeah. And is it
also
aware of your, is it noticing you nodding, or?
It is.
Okay.
And it's. Oh, I think it said, can you help me? Or was it I who said, I want to help you? But it sounded like it said, can you help me? But.
Okay. Either way, help is on the table, it sounds like.
Help is on the way.
And it's helped you, right? We've already seen and appreciated the way that it's helped you. I think maybe you could let it know that it doesn't have to. It's been working hard and helping you, and maybe you can help it. You could ask what it would rather be doing with its energy.
It would, okay. So it would, of course, that's not of course actually, but it would rather not be so angry. It would rather, it would like to be allowed to express its voice.
Yes. Yes.
And then not be condemned for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then not feel guilty for it. Well, something, yeah.
Yeah. You could let it know that you've seen how other parts, not just other people out in the world, but you have your own parts that have participated in that.
Yeah.
Let it know that you're able to work with them if that would help it.
Yes. I have to admit that some of those parts are still quite strong, but I'm happy to, I will work with them. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Just like this one. Starts off so strong, and when you can get one-on-one, you can get closer and learn what it's all about.
Yeah, also what it really wants is to, I've said it already, but I'm saying it again. What it really wants is to express its voice, be heard, be listened to, be respected. And it also wants something it's not able to. That makes it a little angry at itself. Or maybe that's a different part. Because what I saw now, it wants all these expressions, but it also wants to feel that it's safe to take in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even harder.
Yeah. And when you say safe to take in, what it wants to know that what is safe to take in? Those expressions?
No, it's okay. It's because it's okay. So it wants to be able to take in not only, I mean, it wants to be able to okay, it's complicated. What do you want to take in? It wants to be able to take in kindness and compassion, but both from me and from the outer world.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Without feeling like there's a threat that it's going to be violated, that everything will be taken away from you, and that it needs to be so vigilant. Okay. And how's its level of trust for you around those two things that it wants? One, to be able to express itself. Two, to be able to allow the kindness and compassion in without being violated.
Yeah, it feels, I think it has more trust in me regarding that I can help it to express itself.
Okay. Yeah. That could be a great place to start. What does it need from you to do that? Does it want to make a space for that? Whether that's internally, externally, is there a way that it can see itself being able to express itself with you in a way that feels safe?
Well, it needs my help to work with the other part, especially the guilty one, because that one is still there.
Okay.
Needs my help to work with parts like the guilty one, because if it says what it wants and the guilty one comes, then it's very easy for it to withdraw.
Right. Okay.
It also, I think, wants my help to be able to. It wants me to be able to hear its voice as a distinct voice from that I can hear because the only way I can help it with the guilty one is if I also hear it, right? If it's the guilty one drumming in my ears and this one is whispering in the corner,
right?
So maybe that's the same thing. I don't know. It wants me to listen very closely.
Yeah, there's not a balance, and from its perspective, there's not a balance in the different voices, the different parts, and the importance that their voices have been given.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it wants me to kind of really listen carefully.
Mm-hmm.
And see, and kind of able to, I can't find a word right now, but able to hear its voice in the whatever other noise there is.
Okay. So is that something to work on and negotiate in kind of a positive way? Like, is that something to be created now, or would it make more sense to think about how to work with that guilty part that drowns it out?
No, I think we need to go to the guilty one.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise we'll just kind of create wishful thinking, and if that guilty part isn't part of it, then it won't happen.
Okay.
So I hear you.
Yeah. Would you like to do that now? Is the part wanting you to do that now, or to stay with it?
Do you have more to say?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just wants me to know how hard it has been for it. How it has just been compressed and locked down and sometimes almost lost hope.
Yeah. Just let it know it can show you that.
But I think it also wants me to know that that talking to me now, it feels very alive.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
I did wish it could stop being so just angry, that it could get what it wants.
So another thing you might offer it. So first, you've offered it to listen. You've offered it to go to the part the guilty part that pushes it down. But you can also offer it to maybe address an exile. This angry part is saying something is being violated. This angry part it's speaking in the present tense about the violations. And so you could offer it that, just that you can go to those other parts, those young parts, those exiles, and unburden them. And then maybe that feeling wouldn't be coming up as much or as strong or at all. Did any of that resonate, or? I believe you are muted. So, yeah.
Oh, hey. Am I muted? Am I muted now?
You are unmuted. So,
okay.
I don't know what you might have said in the past 30 seconds, but I said, let it know you could go to exiles.
Yes.
And then I didn't hear anything that you might have said after that.
Okay. Wow. So what I said was that is probably closer for the anger. It will be a bigger jump to go to the guilty one. And that the anger came up when the anger kind of surfaced when I was feeling into the little girl laying in that, pressed against the wall after having been woken up. And wasn't able to go back to sleep because her mother had dumped all her fears on her, and then she was just turning her back towards her and sleeping.
So you were saying that the going to the guilty one would be harder than to go to the exile?
What I was saying was that the anger is very angry about that. Was that what you meant by going to the exile?
It's what I meant was that, yes, if you could heal or unburden the exile, then and kind of update it all and rescue it essentially from that place, then maybe the anger would not have as much to be angry about.
Yeah. There are probably several of them, but I can really feel the violation and the anger for that, for having to do that, for having been woken up and then laying there and being so scared and so frozen. And the anger is saying, how dare you do that? How dare you do that? It's almost like the anger wants to kill that grown up.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And is it okay for the anger to express that to you?
Yes.
And where's that guilty part? Is it on this? Is it wanting to jump in?
No. Really, no. I don't think so. Funny. I think the guilty part is just listening right now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That anger is murderous right now.
Yeah. Just let it know that's okay with you.
Yeah. That anger could just, she could kill. She could also take that little girl, jump over the ground up, out the door, and lock the door from the outside.
I think if the anger could do that, it would have already done that.
It would.
If the angry part could do that, it would. And I love that it has that vision. But there are a lot of parts that are invested in this exile.
Mm.
And the exile itself might not be ready to just be scooped up and taken out. It might have its own process.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Because it felt like a fantasy. It didn't feel like
right.
That girl. She was very light. It wasn't like something with substance.
So you can just let the anger know, this angry part know, that you're on the same team, that you want the same things, that you want to help that exile, and that you are very qualified to do that. It doesn't have to keep working so hard, or it won't have to keep working so hard in this role if it lets you and trusts you to do that.
Because the exile was just saying, don't kill her. Then I will be awful.
Right. Yeah, and again, there were a lot of parts saying, no, anger, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what happens when parts are the only people in the room, they're fighting.
Yeah.
And when you're able to get in there and be with each of them alone, you can give each of them what they need individually. So yeah, the angry part is not the one to go help the exile. It's done what it had to do and could do over the years or at the time.
No, I would like to just scoop up that exile.
Well, parts in me would too. And I think that the sentiment is beautiful, and I think we can send her that message that we want to help her.
Yeah, I don't think she's ready for that either, but
Right. And you've been through the process some, and you've had that same, there's the urgency, right? Saying, okay, well, there it is. Let's get out the tools and bust them out.
Yeah, exactly. Bust them out.
And pretty much every part we meet says, slow down.
Yeah.
I need you to hear my story. I need you to know how I'm feeling. I need you to know why I'm here. I need you to know all the different angles.
And there are a lot of angles to this one too.
Right. It's a delicate ecosystem. So we can thank those parts that want to jump in there. And just let them know that you have another way that
I feel for her though.
Mm-hmm.
I want her to tell me what she wants and needs.
Okay. It's okay with me if, as you know, that takes some time usually. And we've been talking almost an hour. So, sometimes meeting with an unburdening and exile can take an hour plus. I mean, really, it can take weeks and months, but so I'm happy to spend more than an hour on the phone with you today. But I would kind of have that.
Yeah.
Kind of that caveat.
Stop in the middle anyway. You probably get.
Right. And that's okay. I mean, if it feels okay with you, you can make contact with the exile and get to know her and provide some things or provide some listening for her. It's whatever really feels right to self, to the exile. And to that. Go ahead.
I think she wants to say a few words, just so she knows that I have heard her. And all she wants to say is that she's confused. Because on the one hand, she feels so abandoned and violated. On the other hand, it's almost like she feels it's her duty.
Yeah. Does sound complex.
Because if the mother dies, she will die too.
Right.
So we can stop. How the hell we know to stop on, but it's fine to stop there. But it's kind of interesting. This was kind of where if the anger hadn't come in, well, we may not have gone there. It might not have been getting into her if we hadn't gone by the anger first.
Yeah, if the anger hadn't come in, then I think we would have missed a really important protector. And the danger in that is that we go to exiles without getting everyone's permission. These parts that have been working for decades, they are very invested. They have a role. They have their own burdens. They're not caught up on the current age. They don't know what's going on. We go in there, we muck around, and maybe we do provide some help for the exile, but then we wake up tomorrow and there's rage is still there, and it's kind of like I don't know, it just doesn't work very well that way. These protectors are there for a reason, and they have a very important job to do, and it's a lot. This is an internal family system. And it would be like if you're working with a family in the external world and you went and like worked with their child without checking in with the child's guardians. Like that's the kind of level of danger you can get yourself into.
Yeah. It's usually the other way. You work with the guardians, but you don't take the child into account. But anyway.
Well, we're going to do both.
Yeah.
And we are.
But as we now have at least four protectors surrounding this exile. And that is the angry one. It's the guilty one. It's the tranquilizer. And kind of the pushing away one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is very normal.
Yeah.
It's very normal to have quite a few.
Yeah.
It's also normal, thankfully, that often when you work with one, those other protectors do see that. Just like this guilty one saw you working with the angry one and kind of understood. It kind of didn't need to jump in. So a lot of times they have a little coalition and understanding of how things are supposed to work, and you don't necessarily need to go through the full process with each of them, because as they see you work with one, it suddenly gets a lot more efficient, and their trust grows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just the way that you're able to list them all like that, you're able to, you're right there with a very clear view of each of these actors and what their roles are. So that's huge.
And it's quite interesting with the guilty one, because I think the guilty one tolerates the angry one as long as the angry one knows that it doesn't do something that will make the guilty one jump on top of it.
Right. Yeah, and so you can let the guilty one know that the angry one now has you to go to. That could be a relationship that you could keep developing with the angry one. When you were talking about going to the exile, I was thinking, well, we need to check in with this guilty one at least. So you can also let it know that we haven't forgotten about it.
No.
And let that young 6-year-old know that you see how confusing this is, and that you want to help her out, and that we're coming for her. We just need to do some of this de-escalating of these parts that are a little weaponized.
Yeah. Because she hears all the messages from the protectors, right? And which is creating all the confusion in her.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of she has some core instincts, but she does not trust them because all these protectors are coming in and telling her stuff.
Yeah, that's her environment. Those are the walls of her prison now, are these protectors. Yeah. Okay. Is there any more that you want to, any other messages you want to leave with any of these parts, or any commitments, or anything that you'd like to, anything else that any of them are concerned about or want to? Well,
I want to tell the guilty one that I do respect it. It's not like I want to kick it out or throw it in the garbage or burn it because it's so awful. Even if I don't fully understand why it needs to be so strong, and don't fully understand why it has been as it is, I do realize that it has been for a reason to protect me, even if I don't really see how everything it has done has protected me. So I'm not condemning it. Like it sounds like me and the anger are not going to gang up on it.
Right.
It's there and it has its rightful place, and I'm curious. I'm curious about it. So I want it to know that, and I think And I think the anger already does know that I want to help it to create more balance, but I don't want that to be against
Right.
the guilty one. We're always
Right.
going to, get the
Right.
have to get the guilty one on board with it, otherwise it won't work.
Yeah. Well, I also want to just offer that, as I see it, the parts don't actually need to get along. Like, if they have you to go to, because they're all asking for the same thing, they're all asking to be heard. And so if they feel like they are being heard, that their voice is counting in you, then it's okay for them to have very different wants and needs and strategies. So that to me, that's also good news, is that, they have been fighting for a long time, and we're not saying, hey, you two stop fighting, you need to get along. We're saying, we're offering another option of, you don't need to shout at this person or at me. You can just let me know about your needs, and I can be there, and I can provide those and help you.
I didn't fully realize that before, but that's right. It has to do with me, accepting as a leader and accepting all of them, and they having trust that I will be trusting me, that I will be fair, whatever fair is, right?
Right. Exactly.
I'm going to meditate on that. At least, maybe not meditate. Well, I'm going to mull on that.
You're experiencing it. I mean, you're doing it. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Okay, and I really liked the way we started with picking up from last time, and I think that helped us be really efficient today. So
yeah, let's do that next time too.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, James.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best in whatever you're struggling with.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Have a nice night. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube, and they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.